And the next shop was Mr Potton, the greengrocer. He had pomegranates and pineapples. He was a little more than the ordinary potato and cabbage and carrot shop. He had the different sorts of fruit. That was a very smart shop. They did good business. A big shop too, double fronted. Next to that was Mr Fuller, the musical instrument man. He had, to my knowledge, he had nearly every instrument you can find, from a tin whistle to a bass drum or a cello.
Oh, yes.
The bugles, brass bugles and silver bugles were in the windows, piano accordions and the concertinas. He was busy, it seemed. Next to that, there was a sweet shop. Mind you, all these shops had overhanging floors.
Upstairs floors, yes.
And they were all timber fronted. Though Mr Potton broke the rule, he had a modern shop front put in. So that stood out, unfortunately. But never mind. Then there was Blowers. You went down a step there. He was a little short, fat man. Nice man, pleasant man. And he had two daughters. They were both built like miniature barrels, but they were clean and pleasant. All wore white aprons. On the left of the shop going in, there was a separate place where that was divided up with children's clothes. I think there was some women's clothes as well, but I can't remember that. Little frocks and dresses and knickers for the children and long black stockings. On the other side, they kept the sweets, the gobstoppers, the honeycomb bars, and that was it. I suppose that was every sweet you can think of. And the thing he always kept a good stock of was ship's chocolate.
Oh yes, that big
ship's.
chocolate.
That was light chocolate, and that was made in long bars like tunnels.
That's right.
And the seamen used to come and buy that. We used to buy it. It wasn't sweet. We used to buy it because we liked it, because you could suck that, and that lasted a long while. But if you wanted to, you did that the seamen did. You scraped it into powder, and that made nice, thick cocoa.
That's right. Yes, I can remember that, Ted.
Well, that was in, they used to have about a dozen of these fingers joined together, so there was a dozen in one row and a dozen in the other. After that, the next one and the last one before the corner was a public house on the corner called the Brewers. There was no need to say it was a public house because we knew that. That was called the Brewers. And that was, by that time, we'd reached Salthouse Street. Well, the other side of that was a nice old fellow, went up 3 steps. He had a door either side, window either side on the corner. It was a round pavement, and he kept sou'westers, oilskins, fishermen.
Like a chandler's.
That's right, a ship's chandler thing. But he never kept ropes or anything like that.
No.
And he kept those, duffel coats, everything that the seamen needed. But at the same time, you could always buy a good pair of boots, whether you were a child at school, and they were heavy, of course, and I suppose for a pair of boys' boots, they were half a crown, with hobnails and toe plates in. The other thing he used to get a stock of, which was linen plimsolls with rope soles. My mother used to buy our rope soles, plimsolls, and they were threepence a pair.
Good God.
That's true. If I remember rightly, a man would buy a pair and they'd cost 1 and 6. Well, a lot of women used to buy them, and they'd be about a shilling a pair for a woman. But for a boy of 10 like me, 10 or 11, they'd be threepence a pair. Well, they'd last...
all the summer.
Not quite, but they'd last a good while. I mean, you never played football in them, or your toes got no protection. They were... Some of them had lace eyelets in, with a stringy sort of lace, but some of them didn't have eyelets. They had a slit in the front, properly machined, and they had a cord go right through opposite eyelets, and they tied round your ankles. But mostly the girls wore them, because they wore them as well. Well, that was him. Next to that was Porky Wells, the pork poacher. Beautifully clean shop, and that smelled beautiful. He made his own lard, his own sausages, and his wife was a big fat woman. She must have weighed about 14 stone. He was just a little bigger than her, and his son was the same. He went to school with me, and he was called Porky Wells. They used to sell
well, the usual things at the
usual things,
Yeah.
tripe, things like that. Next to that was the barber. He was a nice old boy. He was there when we first went there, and I was about 4 when I went to live in Fore Street. He used to do the barbering, but his sight gradually faded. If he'd been alive today, that could have been put right. But anyhow, he was getting on, his sight faded, and he used to clear up the shop as best as he could, and he used to go outside and clean the windows, do all the odd jobs. When he'd done these jobs, he used to sit in the barber shop and talk to the customers who he knew.
Who was next to him?
Well then, next to him was another big shop. I should say that was about 20 feet long. That was a big shop. That had surgical boots, crutches, what else did they have? And stretchers,
Oh, yes.
all sorts of things,
Medical things.
trusses and things of that sort. And incontinent
Oh, yes, we
things,
know.
and these big white, weighed half a ton bedpans, white Dalton china things. Well, next to him was a gateway about 10 feet wide. Going in that was a garage at the bottom, and well, not many cars about, but that earned that Mr Chapman his living. He had a son. I went to school with him. We were the same age, and in the evenings he used to help his father repair the old-fashioned motorbikes they had and the cars. Well, next to that was another big shop with a glass frontage, glass window about 12 feet long, and a door next to Chapman's entrance. And that was either the towel mill laundry or the sunlight laundry. They were always busy there, doing aprons and
That's what laundries usually do.
collars, stiff collars they specialised in, and things of that sort. Next to that was Mr Doldry, the leather merchant. Well, his shop window was about 10 or 15 feet long, as near as I can say, and he used to have a big tray of leather cuttings in the window, off cuttings, and he used to have a good array of shops, needles, threads,
Yeah.
sewing machines, polishers, everything. He was a nice, pleasant man, a little short, stocky man, always wore his white apron, and he was always doing a repair job, either stitching something up or knocking studs in boots.
He was always busy.
He was always busy. I went to school with his son. Next door to them was Welch the baker. Welch used to get up early in the morning.
Of course.
He'd make his bread, and he'd make wonderful cream cakes with all the designs on in different colours. By the time it was 8:30, he used to come in the shop with his tall hat on, his white suit on, an apron, and bring all the cakes in on trays and put them in the window, and the bread. That smelled nice in there. He used to make milk rolls, and his wife was a tall woman. She used to look after the shop. Then he'd go and have his breakfast, and he'd disappear. You wouldn't see him until about 12:30. And when he came out, he was totally different. He had a light waistcoat on, and a sports jacket, and cream trousers with a crease like a knife edge, and smart shoes. But he was still the same man. Next to them was a door which led up to a flat over a little sweet shop.